Welcome back, my beautiful humans, to another episode of If I Die Tomorrow, where we ask the big questions, the little questions, the silly questions, the not so silly questions, and just try to get through this thing called life and be better today than we were yesterday. I know that we took a little bit of break from some of the heavy topics, and yeah, I'm going back to that just for a little bit. And hopefully not so heavy, but make you kind of think, which is really the whole purpose and point of this podcast. It is to make you think. It's to maybe make fun of yourself a little bit, enjoy some of the little things, but also, just be better. Give more, learn more, and be happy with who you are. And I know we don't know what tomorrow brings, which is, why the podcast is titled what it is. We don't know, if maybe tomorrow is, a new chapter or the end of the road. Hey! But what if living with that thought, the idea of if I die tomorrow, we're looking to fundamentally change how we live now? So, because we want us to use that question to push us and to confront our fears, confront our anxieties and our emotions, and, pick what matters most. It will help us sort through the small things and the big things. And we're doing another series. And this one, we're tackling it from different angles, which is why we're doing it in different episodes, additional episodes. This topic is so big. And it brings a lot of confusion to a lot of people. It can also bring a lot of anxiety. For some, it sparks a lot of anger. And I'm hoping we can get through all of that together in one piece. Learn something new. We are asking, dun dun dun, who do religious texts say God is? Yes, I'm going into the God topic. I told you I would get there. And I want to tell a little story. My aunt told me this. I'm hoping that I don't screw it up and that, I get some help here. But she was telling me that, she was telling me a story about two little boys. One believed in God and the other one didn't. And as being boys are boys, as they have their discussion, anger got involved and there started to be pushing. And one pushed the other one down. And the one that was on the ground said, "Oh, so because you believe your God gives you the strength to push me down?" And the other little boy that believed, he looked down at him and he said, "No." And he reached out his hand. He said, "It gives me the strength to lift you up." And that hits home for me. And I will tell you, I'm going to do my very best in this topic. But it's so big to me. And I feel so much. When I was younger, my nickname was Crybaby Nikki. I have always been like this. And so sometimes when I get into a subject that has a lot of meaning to me and a lot of emotion behind it, as you heard through some of my other episodes, my voice starts to crack a little. So far, I have prevented myself from doing the ugly cry with you. I'm going to keep working at that. No one needs to see that. But we are talking about God. And as I said, we're going to look at who God is via religious texts. And so when you look at the foundational books, Abrahamic faiths, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, a clear and powerful picture emerges. All of them describe a single, all-powerful, all-knowing creator who is everywhere all the time. And there's a beauty in that. And now, when you start, we're going to start with the Hebrew Bible. I'm not diving in so deep because I could spend an entire episode on all of these. And I might actually circle back and do that to do some justice, because I believe all of these faiths offer a wonderful insight, not just to the creation of our world or our belief system, but to how we function in it, and how, by utilizing all of the differences, it points us to all of the similarities. And I'm also going to try and not butcher anything, but there's no guarantee. And if I do, I am sorry. I'm trying. So if we start in the Hebrew Bible, it introduces God as the one who created everything, often called Yahweh. And then within the Hebrew Bible, they also have the books. And Isaiah 44:6 boldly declares, I am the first and I am the last. Beside me, there is no God. This isn't just about power. It's about a unique, singular being who exists outside of time. In these texts, God is a spirit, not to be represented by an image, a just and merciful being who forms a covenant, a sacred promise with humanity. And it's where you ask yourself the question, and if you believe, when you look at that. Moving from the Hebrew Bible, we move to the Christian Bible. And that builds on the foundation from the Hebrew Bible. While still a singular being, God is also presented as a loving Father. The New Testament emphasizes a relational, personal God. John 3:16, perhaps one of the most famous verses, says, For God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son. With that verse, it introduces the concept of God's immense love and sacrifice, but it also introduces the idea of the Trinity. God is a single being in three persons: the Father, the Son, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit. In the Quran, God is known as Allah. The central message is one of absolute oneness. Surah Al-112 Aliklas states it beautifully. And say, He is Allah, the one and only Allah, the eternal absolute. He begetteth not, nor is he begotten. There is none like unto him. There's no compromise here. God is without parameters, without equal, a merciful and compassionate judge who knows all. And I think part of where we get into trouble is we read these and we interpret. And when we interpret, we put our own spin because we're interpreting it. And I think that by doing that, we lose the true meaning. Or we're always looking for something more, like there's some hidden meaning in it. What if it's truly just He loves us? Don't do this, don't do that. Follow my commandments, follow my rules. All of them share so many similarities. And it's amazing to me and beautiful all at the same time. And as we discussed those, I want to now shift a little bit because, again, I'm not in the short time frame that I'm using. I am not going to explore all of the beauty and depth of these books. But it is a way, by these books being listed, that you can make the choice to take some of your precious time and do some of the research and reading for yourself. I'm going to say we're going to shift our focus more towards the Eastern traditions right now, where the description of the divine can be very different. And the contrast is absolutely amazing and fascinating. And it's the way the Eastern traditions and foundations of this, or of God, isn't of God, it's of approaching an ultimate reality. Which I can see the beauty in that. I mean, we all kind of sometimes feel like we're in the Matrix, we see the glitches. In Hinduism, the sacred texts like the Vedas and the Upanishads. I'm sorry. This is not out of disrespect. They speak of a supreme cosmic principle called the Brahman. Brahman isn't a personal God in the same way. It's the ultimate reality of the universe. All of the various gods and goddesses, like Vishnu and Shiva, are often seen as different expressions or manifestations of this one ultimate reality. The Bob God Gita even has Krishna, a divine manifestation, revealing his cosmic form, showing his universality. I don't know why some of these words have to be so hard. But they are. Even normal words. Please forgive me. I mean no disrespect. Now, if we focus on Buddhism for a moment, the focus moves away from a creator God entirely. The core is for like the Polycanon. It doesn't describe an omnipotent creator or omnipotent creator. Instead, the focus is on a path to liberation, which I think in some small way we all do that. And this path of liberation is to get away from suffering. The ultimate goal is not to find a personal God, but to reach a state of ultimate peace and enlightenment called nirvana. The teachings center on self-reliance and the understanding of reality to end the cycle of suffering, which is a huge concept. That's beautiful. As we've seen, the texts paint a varied and complex picture. From the personal, relational, and singular God of the Abrahamic faiths to the all-encompassing, impersonal reality of Brahman and the absence of a creator in Buddhism. And I want to say this isn't about choosing one or the other. It's about exploring the different ways that humanity has tried to understand the divine. I've talked about it before, like the telephone game. Or even like urban legends, myths. Some of that there had to have been some small piece of truth in there somewhere for a story to start. And I know maybe that sounds naive of me, but I really believe that there's some portion of truth somewhere. Because how did all of these... Okay, so even though there isn't a God in Buddhism, okay, or looking at reality in the Brahman, there's still a piece in those, as well as in Judaism and Islam and Hebrew Christianity, that at some point, all of it, if you break it down, comes back to something felt, not necessarily seen. So somewhere along the lines, I think something's in there is real. So you don't have to choose, again, one over the other. You could choose to just explore all of them. Find something that fits. And I take nothing away from any of the religions or ideals. But I think if you put it all back into one singular similarity, it's love. And some people just aren't comfortable naming it, but we all feel it. And we see it in actions, but you don't actually physically see love. Well, okay, if you see actions, then obviously you can physically see it, but it's more of a feeling. It's an emotion. It's something that can just wash over you like a tidal wave. And I think by exploring some of these, we have the option of experiencing that tidal wave in different ways. And it's trying to understand something we don't see, but we feel. So, because whether you believe in God or not, the descriptions in these texts have shaped our world, our cultures, even our values. They provide a foundation for living a life of purpose and meaning. And this is where our "if I die tomorrow" premise comes in. Understanding these foundations gives us a place to stand on a rock. It gives us a starting point to start asking our own questions. There is power in knowledge. I don't need power, but there is power in knowledge. And I'm going to give you some homework. Again, yes, I'm throwing down another challenge. Want a call of action? Please, please. I would like you to reflect on this for the rest of your week. These, different ideals, books, interpretations, big thoughts, little thoughts. I'd like you to take one of the descriptions that we talked about today, and whether it's the Creator, the loving Father, the one and only, or the ultimate reality, and consider how that view might impact how you live. Does it change how you treat others? How you make your choices? Even how you might see your purpose? Marinate in it a little bit. See where it takes you. What thoughts pop into your head and make you more curious. And next week, we'll continue the conversation. But next week, we're going to ask who the world says God is. So if you think about that and you have any ideas and you want to leave a comment, please do so. As always, I'm going to give a selfish plug and say, please like, subscribe, leave a comment, turn on your notifications. All of it, none of it. I'm just glad you joined me. And when we step into who the world says God is, we're going to step away from the books and look at the cultural, historical, and even scientific perspectives. But for now, consider the words we've discussed and how they shape your sense of purpose and your preparedness for tomorrow. As always, be kind, be grateful, stay humble.